Welcome back to the Tomatolito Show. Thank you guys again for tuning in. And here we are in a few days' time. We're going to be seeing Tank versus Terremoto. Gervonta Tank Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz El Terremoto. And it's bound to be an entertaining fight. How meaningful is this to boxing? I I don't know. This is why. This is why I'm so hesitant about this fight because Gervonta Davis is a bigger body. He's going down in weight. We know he struggled to make weight in the past. I know that Leonard Ellerby and his team is being quick to dismiss the notion that he's struggled with his weight in the past and that he's not gonna have any issues making weight this go around. Let's hope that's true. But with that said, just the fact that the notion is there, the fact that it's happened before, you know that Gervonta Davis is a big fighter. He's got a big frame. As a matter of fact, a little history here. A year ago, as I was attending the Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev fight, we were making our way into the arena, and security walked to the left side of us. Security was walking through, and there was two fighters that the security was surrounding, and one was Adrian Broner, and the other was Gervonta Davis. Now, neither one of them looked like they were in fight weight, and they were just relaxed. They were at the regular weights, and I have to tell you, although Adrian Broner is maybe a couple inches taller than Gervonta Davis, they both looked like they were similar weights. Maybe 160 or so that they were walking around, 150, 160 pounds. Definitely not the lightweights, definitely 160, I would say. But full frames, full-bodied frames, thick necks, thick bodies. They were filled out frames. And so for Gervonta Davis to be fighting at lightweight at 135, these are big cuts that he's taking. Why do I say this? The reason that it caught my eye, that their weights caught my eye, because Adrian Broner was fighting at these weights not too long ago, right? He was fighting at the 130s, the 135s, then went up to 140. He has recently fought at 147 at the welterweight division, including having his fight with Marcos Maldana, which is a really popular fight, and his fight with Manny Pacquiao, right? So why do I say this? Because Gervonta Davis looked like he was similar build and weight to Adrian Broner, although he's maybe losing an inch or so there, a couple inches to Adrian Broner. He has that weight, and that caught my eye because I see Gervonta Davis moving up from the 135-pound division to 140 and eventually to 147 because his frame is dictating that his body is bound to hold the weight, and he can hold his own with those bigger fighters. I don't see Leo Santa Cruz in the same category. I see Leo Santa Cruz as, yes, he is taller than Gervonta Davis, but his frame is smaller, is thinner. He is a lankier, skinnier fighter at that, and he actually makes weight just right at 130, maybe 135. He may walk around normal at around 140, 145-ish, but his weights are not. I think even 145 is pushing it, right? He's a smaller frame fighter. He's a skinnier, lankier fighter, and hence he's still holding a title at 126 and at 130 pounds. So this is a stretch for him to go to 135, whereas Gervonta Davis is a big body, a bigger fighter, and I see this fight as a bit of a disadvantage. What are we looking at here? We're looking at Leo Santa Cruz coming into this fight with a good record, right? He's got a good record on his side. He's 37-1 with one draw. Definitely the more experienced, the more experienced of the two. He's been in a lot of wars, a lot of good fights, a lot of highlights on behalf of Leo Santa Cruz, a lot of memories that he's created for all of us boxing fans in the past. And 37-1 with one draw. He's got titles at 126 still. He's got a title at 130, and here he is facing the young Gervonta Davis, Tank Davis, who has a lot of hype behind him at the moment. He's got Mayweather on his corner, and this is his coming out party in a way, his coming out party of sorts, because this is going to be a pay-per-view fight Showtime's going to be carrying this. So if you have the money to spend, this is going to be Gervonta Davis's basically coming out party to see if he's going to be the next big pay-per-view star, and that's how they're lining him up to be, right? So he's the bigger fighter of the two. Let's hope that he doesn't have any issues making weight later this week, because that's going to take away from what this fight can be, right? And what are we looking at here? The more experienced fighter, faster hands, definitely high output. When you think of Leo Santa Cruz, he has high output. He throws punches and bunches, as they say, versus Gervonta Davis, right? Gervonta Davis is fast, he's quick, he's a smaller fighter, but he throws haymakers, right? He's got really good hooks to the body and really good overhand power punches. And he's got a lot more power than Leo Santa Cruz, and that's what we're looking at: speed, experience, and output versus speed and power on behalf of Davis's side. So with that said, it's going to be an interesting fight. It's an interesting matchup nonetheless, because Gervonta Davis has to give up that weight, and by giving up that weight and going down to the weight in which he once dominated in at 130, he's going down in this weight to this weight division, and therefore, if this is not natural to him, he's bound to struggle with that, right? Now, what happens after they both make weight? Hopefully there's no issues, so that doesn't take away from the importance of this fight or from the hype behind this fight. Let's say they both make weight without any issues, then perfect. The rehydration is the next issue that we're looking at here, where Gervonta is bound to go up to close to 140 pounds, in my opinion, maybe even a little bit higher. And I see Santa Cruz staying around the 130, 135 pounds or so, not getting as high as 140. So therefore, the power will be there to back up that muscle and the big frame that Gervonta Davis brings to the table. Gervonta Davis is the WBA regular champion, right? So just a couple weeks ago, a few days back, we had Teofimo Lopez just make history by dethroning Vasily Lomachenko, and he has the WBA Super Championship, right? What a mess with these organizations and the amount of titles that are out there. But Gervonta Davis has a version of the WBA title. He has a regular championship. He has a regular championship that he's holding on to. Teofimo Lopez is a super champion at WBA, so that's bound to be a unification title there, match in the future. What a fight that would be, Teofimo Lopez against Gervonta Davis, right? The other fighters that you have in that same weight division are Devin Haney. You got Ryan Garcia that's in there as well, right? Who has a lot of hype, and he's the social media king in the weight division, right? And has a lot of hype, a lot of noise behind him, and he's backed it up to date, right? He's got the speed, he's got the power, he's got those awesome videos where he's just displaying awesome punching power and training videos. That he's got a lot of skill behind that kid, a lot of hype behind that kid, and what an awesome time it would be to see Ryan Garcia against Gervonta Davis in the future. Now, what are we looking at if Leo Santa Cruz pulls this victory out and pulls this fight out? His experience should be able to carry him through this fight. If he pulls this fight out, you see Leo Santa Cruz conquering yet another division, moving into the 135-pound division, where, similar to Vasily Lomachenko, he's going to be a smaller fighter at 135. I don't see him sticking around the 135-pound division should he win this title. If anything, he'll possibly defend at 135 or fight at 135 and get dethroned when he faces these bigger bodies and go back down to 130. What's the difference between Leo and Lomachenko? Lomachenko's experience, the way that he adapts in the ring. He's been able to be successful at each and every division that he's touched ground on, and especially at 135, Lomachenko he's been able to be successful because of his ring IQ, his boxing IQ that he brings to him, the amount of experience. Leo Santa Cruz's experience is nowhere near the level of Lomachenko, yet his heart is what carries him through these fights. I wouldn't see Leo Santa Cruz sticking around the 135-pound division for long. He has a lot of big names that he's able to have big, meaningful fights with at 130 and including at 126. So I see Gervonta Davis pulling this fight out. As much as I'm pulling for Leo Santa Cruz on this one, I see Gervonta Davis and his power being a huge factor in this fight, and eventually I see Gervonta Davis winning this match between Leo and Tank. Nonetheless, interesting, right? An interesting matchup of sorts, and let's see how it plays out. Tune in. Remember, it's a Showtime pay-per-view. For those of you that are looking forward to watching this, we got spoiled, right? We got spoiled with Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko because it was free on ESPN. This one is not going to be the case. I believe DAZN might be airing it. I'm not too positive on that, but I'm pretty sure that that Showtime is for sure, right? So that's the way to catch it. What's the price on the pay-per-view? From what I've seen so far, I think it's going to be a little steep, right? Well, this is no longer the days where we used to have the pay-per-view fights at $39.99 or $44.99, $45 pay-per-view, even the $54.99 days. Those are long gone. Thanks to Mayweather, in large part, right? This is going to be a $74.99, so $75. If you got $75, go ahead and drop it. What else is going on this year, right? Drop the $75, get the pay-per-view, and watch yourself a good fight. It's bound to be entertaining. Regardless of how it ends, it's bound to be entertaining. There's not a single fight that comes to mind where Leo Santa Cruz has been in that's been a boring fight. Not one. Not one. So go ahead and do your research, do your due diligence, look into these two fighters. And for that matter, Gervonta Davis has had pretty exciting fights where he's stopped the majority of his fighters. Undefeated fighter coming into this. Leo Santa Cruz has 1 defeat in his record. Not a single fight that I could think of that's been a boring fight that comes to mind. So Terremoto versus Tank Davis. Tune in. Drop the $75 if you have it. If you don't, then just wait for the result or wait to see the highlights or catch the matchup down the line a few days later. I'm sure people start posting that. But if you got the $75, get yourself some friends, surround yourself with some good company, and enjoy the fight. Let's see how this one turns out. I'll see you guys all on the recap show. Take care. And thank you again for tuning into the Tomatolito Show. Talk to you soon.